That Be Not Proud is part of the Holy Sonnet written by John Donne. John Donne is one of the most celebrated English poets from the late 16th to early 17th centuries. He was born in London on 22nd January 1572. If we look at the later part of his life, his later poems reflect his deep religious faith and his life as an ordained priest. That Be Not Proud is a piece of showing these religious undertones in Donne's poetry. This is part of the Holy Sonnet and it is religious in tone. That Be Not Proud, though some have called thee mighty and dreadful, for thou art not so. For those whom thou thinkest thou dost overthrow, die not, poor death, nor yet canst thou kill me. From rest and sleep, which but thy pictures be, much pleasure, then from thee, much more must flow. And soonest our best men with thee go, rest of their bones and soul's delivery. Thou art slave to fate, chance, kings, and desperate men. And those with poison, war, and sickness dwell, and poppy or charms can make us sleep as well. And better than thy stroke, why swellest thou then? One short sleep past, we wake eternally, and death shall be no more. Death, thou shalt die. That Be Not Proud is one of the best poems of John Donne, which is a part of the Holy Sonnet, Holy Sonnet 10. It was written in 1610 and published around 1633. If we look at the sonnet, it highlights his religious belief, taking reference from the Bible, 1 Corinthians 15:26, where Paul wrote, "The final enemy to be destroyed is death." In the sonnet, that is personified, and the speaker brings forth an argument. Look at the word that. So in every word, that is written in uppercase, and it is a noun, a proper noun, and that is personified. That is not. Here he tries to counter this the fear of man. That is not at all powerful as we are forced to think. So when we think about it, or what we picture about that is, it is all powerful and it can do whatever it wants to do. But the thing is, John Donne says that is not powerful at all. In fact, that is just powerless. It has nothing that he can do by himself. So finally, that gives us the way to eternal life, a kind of freedom from this worldly sorrow. That Be Not Proud, though some have called thee mighty and dreadful, for thou art not so. So he starts the poem with this a direct address to that. And remember, that is personified. It is a person here. So that Be Not Proud, the speaker directly addresses and personifies that, addressing or telling it not to be proud, not to be arrogant, because it is not at all powerful. John Donne tells that not to be arrogant, not to be proud, because though some people find that to be scary and intimidating, it is not so. In fact, that is neither of these things, because people don't really die. To understand this, we need to understand this whole concept of Christianity, because when we die, we don't actually die, we go to heaven. So basically, we don't die. So that's what John Donne is trying to say here. That is neither of these things, because people don't really die when they leave this earth. When they leave this earth, they are eternally placed in heaven, where so the speaker is really a man of deep religious faith. He firmly believes in what he has written, And he is not someone who is shaky. He is not someone who is doubtful about his religion. He is a man who is so sure, or who is so confident about his religion. For those whom thou thinkest thou dost overthrow, die not, poor death, nor yet canst thou kill me. The poet is trying to say that be not proud, that be not arrogant, because the people whom you think are dead, they don't actually die. The people whom that thing that he has overthrown, they don't die. The speaker also says that that cannot overthrow him, nor will the speaker truly die when death arrives for him. From rest and sleep, which but thy pictures be, much pleasure than from thee, much more must flow. So here, comparing that to rest and sleep, which are like images of that, the speaker, expects that to be even more pleasurable than these activities. And soon as our best men with thee do go, rest of their bones and souls delivery. It's often the best people who go with that, which represents nothing more than the resting of the body and the arrival of the soul in the afterlife. So it's often the best people who go with that. And that on this earth represents nothing more than the resting of the body. It's the body, the physical body, which is rested here, and the soul will be gone to heaven, which is, the afterlife. Thou art slave to fate, chance, kings, and desperate men. The poet is trying to say that is fully controlled by fate and luck, and often administered by leaders or rulers or people acting desperately. So that is fully controlled by leaders or rulers or people who make laws and stuff like that. And those with poison, war, and sickness dwell. So the speaker points out that is also associated with poison, war, and illness. And poppy or charms can make us sleep as well. The poet says that drugs and magic charms are more effective than death when it comes to rest. Poppy is here not a flower, do not get confused with that. Poppy is actually referred to drugs here. So drugs and magic spells are actually more effective than that when it comes to, or when we talk about rest. That's what the poet John Donne is trying to say here. So why swells thou then? So here the poet again directly asks that again. So why are you so proud? Why are you swelling with pride? With all this in mind, the poet is trying to again ask a question to death. So you see, everything is clear. You're just nothing. You're just controlled by fate and luck and by rulers or people acting desperately. And drugs and magic spells are more effective than that. So why are you so proud? Why are you so arrogant? Why are you so puffed up with pride? That's what John Donne is trying to say here. One short sleep past we wake eternally, and that shall be no more, thou shall die. So that is nothing but just this sleep or rest on this earth. Our soul will be delivered in heaven eternally. So that is nothing but a sleep in between people's earthly lives and the eternal life, in which death can visit them no more. That cannot do anything when we die and when our soul is finally in heaven. It is that instead which will die, or a certain idea of death as something to be scared of. So that is going to die. That is going to be diminished in the end, and it is the love which will triumph, and that will be no more. The powerlessness of that is something which John Donne is trying to point out here. That be not proud, also called as Holy Sonnet, then kind of like the collection of sonnets written by William Shakespeare. This "That Be Not Proud" is also Holy Sonnet, sonnet number 10, where the speaker directly talks to that which is personified. So that is personified here, and he directly talks about death and the afterlife, and also highlighting the fact about the powerlessness of death. So the poem paints a picture of death as, prideful, vain, arrogant, proud, swelling with pride. But here the poet tries to put that in its own place. Do not be proud, do not be arrogant, because you are nothing. You are just a servant or a slave to fate, chance, kings, or desperate men. So with that's powerlessness proved by the end of the poem, it is death itself, not man, who is going to die. If you look at the first line until the end, it is death who will actually die and not man. So why will we not die? People who do not follow Christianity might be a bit confused, but if we look at the poem itself, the whole concept of Christianity is we will not die. How are we not going to die? The thing is, we're not going to die because even if our body here dies, our soul will be in heaven. So basically, we don't die. And in the end, it will be that who will actually die. So that's what the speaker is trying to say here. The speaker clearly argues against that being treated as something strong and important. In actuality, he's trying to bring out this fact that that is nothing, that is powerless, and that will die in the end. That is personified as someone who is so boastful, a boastful figure, a proud, arrogant person who considers himself as mighty and dreadful. But it is not so. It is only a servant, it is only a slave to fate and desperate man. That is then compared to sleep, one of the most beneficial of all human activities. And the poet says that drugs and magic spell are more powerful or effective than that. If we look at the speaker, remember, the speaker is someone who is so confident about what he's talking about. He is so confident about his religion. So this is something which we need to keep in mind if we are to understand what John Donne is really trying to say here. His first part of his writings, he concentrated on this whole idea of romance, but he later moved on to religious poems. He later converted to Anglicanism, the actual church of, or the official church of England, and he concentrated on this religious aspect. So here is a poet, here is someone who is so religious, who is so strong in his faith about his religion, about his love for God and his religion. So he knows that he will die on this earth. His physical body will perish here, but his soul will be redeemed. His soul will be in heaven, where he will not die, but he will be there in heaven eternally. So that is why he is so confident about what he's talking about here. He's so confident about what he's written here. The poem also paints that as, a slave to earthly things. It cannot do anything. It can only boast here on this earth. But the thing is, that is just powerless. It is only associated with fate, chance, kings, and desperate men. And also it is associated with something which are, all that is ugly, like poison, war, and sickness. It is completely of this earth. The speaker implies and depends upon earthly things for its existence. Once this earth is no more, once people are no more here, that is gone, that will be gone. That is not a master of anything, but just a slave. And it is not at all impressive. That is actually not at all powerful. If you actually look at it, that is inferior to something else. It is even inferior to drugs and magic spell. Why do you swell so much with pride? Because you are nothing. That is what the speaker is trying to say here. The speaker asks that what it actually has to be prideful about, or what it has to be, boastful about. Overall, the poems present that as having just one function: to transition people between life and the afterlife, with its fearsome, powerful dispelled. Death itself can die. Well, it's nothing. This poem follows the structure of the Petrarchan sonnet, which is 14 lines and divided into 8 stanza and a 6-line stanza. The rhyme scheme of the first stanza is typically A B B A, A B B A, and the rhyme scheme of the second stanza is C D D C E E. In the poem, Donne is again, he's directly talking to death as if death is actually a person. So that is personified here. Personification. Try to know better idea about what personification is. So when something is personified, so in many poems we talk about, the clouds or the daffodils. If we look at the writings of William Wordsworth, the daffodils are personified. So they're fluttering because of the wind, but they are personified as, happily fluttering left and right. So happily, daffodils are personified here. So likewise here, that is also personified here, and that is someone who is considered as prideful, boastful, and the poet is trying to put that in its place, that it's nothing, you cannot do anything, and you cannot be proud because you're nothing. At the beginning of the poem, that is actually shown as mighty and dreadful, as it has the power to take the lives of all, but the speaker denies its power immediately, saying that death cannot do anything and it will not kill him. So that can boast about, taking other people's life, but the thing is, that is powerless. That is not at all powerful, because even if we die on this earth, we will be in heaven eternally. Our soul will be in heaven eternally. So that is why the poet strongly says that people never die. Whole, idea, or the fear which we have about that is turned upside down by the speaker. The speaker, criticizes that for its pride. And for the speaker, John Donne, that is a slave to other unseen forces of the universe, like, destiny, coincidences, kings, and desperate men. This is it. That is personified. Personification, this whole idea of this technique of personification is used here. John Donne is speaking in a religious tone. He is someone who is so religious, and he is someone who is so sure, who is so strong in his faith, in his belief in Christianity.